Heavenly Father, we give you thanks and we give you praise, Lord God. We thank you for this day that you have blessed us with, Lord God. Father, we thank you for this opportunity where we could come together, Lord God, as Ozone officers of the region there, Father God, to have, oh God, a workshop, Lord God, to help, Father, in the, Lord God, the sustainability, whatever will be said and done there, Father God, that it will be done, oh God, in a decency and in order there, Father God. Continue to have your divine way throughout this meeting, Lord. In your name I pray. Amen. Remain standing as we have the national anthem.
Saint Vincent, land so beautiful, with joyful hearts we pledge to thee our loyalty and love and vow to keep you ever free. Whatever the future brings, our faith will see us through. May peace reign from shore to shore, and God bless and keep us true. High moon of fair and blessed are your mountains, high so clear and green, a home to me, though I may stray, a haven calm, serene. Whatever the future brings, our faith will see us through. May peace reign from shore to shore, and God bless and keep us true. Our little sister islands are those gems of lovely melodies upon their seas, and golden sets the sunshine ever be. Whatever the future brings, our faith will see us through. May peace reign from shore to shore, and God bless and keep us true.
Thank you very much. You may have your seats. I'll now turn over to Ms. Janiel Miller-Findley, the National Ozone Officer of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, who will bring us opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Brendan. I'm sure that most of you didn't know that was me singing just now. That was just wishful thinking. Director of Planning, Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning, Sustainable Development and Information Technology, my Director, Laura Anthony Brown. Mr. Osborne Bowens, Dean of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College Technical Division, Division of Technical Vocational Education, media representatives, good morning. To our visiting delegates, Mr. Gerard Mitissa of the Ozone Secretariat, Mr. Marco Pinzon, Donalyn Charles, and Kevin Rodriguez of the UN Environment Regional Office of Latin America and the Caribbean, Paloma of UNDP, United Nations Development Program, Mr. Brenton Kwame, National Assistant Ozone Officer, fellow Ozone Officers of the region of the English-speaking Caribbean and Haiti. Many of you, I know it's the first time you're visiting St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Hairuna, land of the blessed, and the gem of the Antilles. Welcome. It is our privilege to host you and to have you in our country. We know that for some as well, it's the first, I think, for Gerard and Misha, it's the first that you've been to the region of the Caribbean. So we are happy to be your Caribbeans. I want to this morning, just in this brief welcoming remarks, just to salute you, my fellow Ozone officers. You are what you have mentioned many times, the unsung heroes of environmental protection. Your contribution to the repair of the ozone layer, which helps to sustain life on Earth, has been remarkable, and it's something that you don't often hear about. Over the past 30 years of the implementation of the Montreal Protocol, our roles have evolved from being guardians of the ozone layer to becoming climate and energy specialists. Our phase-out schedules have made an invaluable contribution to the fight against climate change, leading to emission reductions of over 10 gigatons of CO2 equivalent per year, 5 times larger than that of the annual emissions in the reductions under the Kyoto Protocol between the years of 2008 to 2012. As I said before, we are honored to host you, and we are encouraged by the level of support that we have seen in terms of the attendance to this meeting, representatives from the Ozone Secretariat, Ozone Action, UNEP, the other UN agencies, and other partner agencies. Welcome to St. Vincent, and we would have had 2 days of training for the new Ozone officers that were quite successful, and I anticipate that same level of success and interaction, discussions for the 3 days that we have following. At this point, I would like to welcome Ms. Laura Anthony Brown. Sorry, I think it's Marco, my apologies. Marco Pinzon, who is representing the Regional Office of Latin America and the Caribbean, to make brief remarks.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Misha Tushishvili. I'm working in Ozone Action Paris office. And on behalf of the Ozone Action of the United Nations Environment Program, I would like to warmly welcome and express my sincere gratitude to the government of St. Vincent and Grenadines for the acceptance and great support in the organization of this meeting. I would like to touch in my opening remarks also 3 main subjects, and one of them it was already mentioned. I am very happy to report to this network that, as we promised 2 years ago, the first NOU training program, which was created by United Nations Environment Program, Ozone Action Paris in cooperation with our team in Panama, was successfully held on Monday and Tuesday here in St. Vincent and Grenadines. And the objective of this training program was to provide a new NOU staff with essential information about the Montreal Protocol, a country's obligations under the Montreal Protocol, and the main activities with regard to the project implementation at the national level. I would like to thank you here, host countries, St. Vincent and Grenadines, for the excellent support in organizing that meeting. And of course, my sincere thanks to our resource person from Grenada, Leslie. Again, thank you very much for your excellent participation in that meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, this network meeting provides us with a very useful platform to exchange information, ideas, and experiences in implementation of the HPMP. The second topic what I would like to mention here is that we see that HCFC phase-out management plans continue to be a challenge for some of the NOUs in the region, since the managing of HCFC phase-out process, setting up supporting policies and legislation, implementing HPMP components such as the investment and non-investment components, making informed choices about non-HCFC technologies is a really complex task. UNEP has a huge responsibility in most of these areas, and we would like to emphasize that we are ready to continue providing capacity building services, the information clearinghouse and regional networking, all our core services which are supporting HCFC phase out at the national level. And another very important point that needs to be highlighted here is that the Kigali Amendment changed heavily landscape under the Montreal Protocol, and which basically bring about a global phase down for disease, and we will take effect from 1st January to 2019. Therefore, there is a need to initiate activities at the national level as soon as possible. The Executive Committee agreed to provide fast start supporting for countries that had formally indicated their intent to ratify the Kigali Amendment. And Article 5 countries, including the Caribbean network, were invited to propose enabling activities projects to facilitate and support the early ratification of the Kigali Amendment, and undertake specific initial activities that help them fulfill their initial obligation with regard to HFC phase down in line with the Kigali Amendment. And I can assure you that the UNEP and as well as other sister implementing agencies are ready to support Article 5 countries with setting up enabling environment for Kigali implementation. With this, I would like to take this opportunity to express my gratefulness to partner agencies, UNDP and UNIDO, as well as bilateral partners, governments of US and Canada, for outstanding cooperation and excellent partnership with this Caribbean network. On behalf of Ozone Action of United Nations Environment Programme, I wish you a most successful network meeting, and I thank you for active participation in advance.
Thank you very much, Misha. I thought it was important for you to speak on behalf of our Chief Officer in Paris, Misha Milanayer. Ms. Laura Anthony Brown, Director of Planning, Ministry of Finance, Economy, Planning, Sustainable Development and Information Technology. Ms. Janelle Miller, National Ozone Officer of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. National Ozone Officers from the Caribbean countries, special guests, implementing agencies of the Multilateral Fund, the Ozone Secretariat, the US EPA, ladies and gentlemen. During the last 2 days, I have just jotted down some little history that I want to share with you. More than 30 years ago, a group of governments agreed to protect the ozone layer. Later on, it was a universal agreement in order to phase out the ozone depleting substances. Those harmful chemicals used in a variety of applications, but mainly refrigeration and air conditioning sectors. We remember that the signature of this remarkable agreement was preceded by a series of scientific research and evidence of its depletion, while at the same time it was the discovery of the ozone hole over Antarctica. It is worth mentioning that during the lifetime of the Montreal Protocol and its amendments, nearly 2 million of cases of skin cancer are avoided annually, according to research made by the World Health Organization. In addition, the complete phase out of disease, solvent, halos, and methane have contributed to the avoidance of around 11 billion CO2 equivalent tons of emissions per year. Experts estimated that this amount of avoided emissions was equivalent to more than 3 Kyoto protocols. During the past 10 years or so, parties realized that all these efforts and associated benefits could be lost if the alternatives used, namely the HFCs with high global warming potential, increase their production and consumption globally. Again, scientists have brought up research and evidence on this regard. The good news, as you all know, is that in 2016 parties started to control HFCs on the movements. Therefore, as Michelle just mentioned, also bodies, including the United Nations Environment Programme, as implementing agency to the Montreal Protocol, are adjusting its processes and structures to face or to address the new challenges that Kigali has brought to the table. This meeting, followed by the training of new national ozone officers, will start addressing one of these key challenges, namely that of trade control of HFCs using environmental licensing system, electronic licensing system. Existing licensing system that needs to be adjusted, and with technology we may use and enhance our licensing system with electronic controls. And we will be doing this together with the customs officers. The Caribbean region has demonstrated its commitment with the Montreal Protocol, and once again is advancing the work to be done and the strategies to be put in place in order to control HFCs once the Kigali Amendment is ratified by individual parties. From this region, it is important to note that countries have already ratified Kigali Amendment, and the majority are well progressing in doing so. Therefore, I invite all of you to actively participate during these 3 days with the aim to prepare your countries for HFC controls and shaping the face-down strategies. The United Nations Environment and its Compliant Act System Program will provide you with the necessary support under its mandate to guide you and work with you in this endeavor. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Marco. I would like to recognize the presence of Minister of National Mobilization, Social Development, Family, Gender Affairs, Persons with Disabilities, and Youth, and former member of the National Ozone Committee, Minister Frederick Stevenson. Welcome, we are happy to have you. And I now invite Mrs. Laura Anthony Brown, Director of Planning, to give the opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Danielle. Good morning to everyone. I recognize the accepted protocol, and what I want to add in, because he wasn't recognized before, my dear friend and colleague and Minister in our Ministry of National Mobilization. I'm particularly pleased to see that we have ministerial representation at this opening ceremony this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure, I know you have been welcomed already, but it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to this thematic meeting of the National Ozone Officers of the English-speaking Caribbean and Haiti. We have here assembled, as I have come in and observed you, quite an impressive gathering of CARICOM member countries, in addition to organizations such as the Ozone Secretariat, the UN and regional agencies, and some private companies as well. I also want to recognize the representation from as an invited guest from the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College. It is good that we have this collaboration in this important aspect of our work. I want to offer to you greetings from our Minister, Honorable Camila Gonzalez, who would have liked to have been here with us today, but he is away attending the annual Board of Governors meeting of the Caribbean Development Bank, which begins today in Grenada. I know that looking at the program that you have set out ahead of you, that you do have a very hectic program, but it is in, and trust me when I say this, it is in your best interest to, while you're here, to take some time to visit our beautiful, explore our beautiful archipelago. And amidst the work that you're doing, explore some of our diversity and the hospitality that our country has to offer. At any rate, if you believe that you are too busy during this particular workshop, I invite you to come again one day with your families so you can really explore and enjoy the beauty of our country. Just over 2 years ago, in our country, the Economic Planning and the Sustainable Development Unit, which is where I work out of the Ministry of Finance, we assumed responsibility for environmental matters also. That arrangement commenced an incredible journey in which I entered into a classroom of never-ending education in my attempts to become familiar again with the basic geography and basic science that I learned, as you can tell, many, many years ago at school. I had to do so, and this reorientation was necessary if I wanted to be able to be on the same page whenever Janelle walked into my office to brief me on what she was doing. For example, if she came in and she would say that St. Vincent and the Grenadines is one of 9 countries, 9 of the Caribbean, of 197 countries that have stage 1 accelerated phase-out management plan for the HCFS and HCFS, and only in the region, we are the only one in the LAC, Latin America and the Caribbean region. So when she gave me information such as that, having taken some time to reacclimatize myself, so to speak, with long forgotten basic science and the geography, at least I had some intuition as to what she was speaking about. Indeed, when the Montreal Protocol, which you know better than I do, Montreal Protocol is the global agreement to protect the ozone layer by phasing out the production and consumption of ozone-depleting substances. When this was finalized in 1987, there may have been, at the time I suspect, many people who were skeptical, doubtful about the ability of participating countries to make real progress in this regard. Today, just over 30 years later, since the coming into effect of this agreement, it is heartening to see and to understand that the Montreal Protocols, when I read, for example, that the Montreal Protocols Scientific Assessment Panel estimates that with implementation of the Montreal Protocol, the world can expect near complete recovery of the ozone layer by the mid-21st century. This, by any measurement, is an impressive outcome. I say that it is impressive based on my basic understanding that without the layer of ozone in the atmosphere, it would be difficult, if not impossible, for anything to survive on Earth's surface. And I thought about that in particular, this morning. If you are an early riser and you looked out of your windows at 5:15 a.m. and even as late as 5:30, there was the most brilliant moonlight, and I was amazed at that, and I thought, of the interactions of of the environment, and because I was thinking about this topic, I wondered to what extent all of that and their interaction with Earth would be possible if we weren't protecting the ozone layer. So this success is due to mainly to the country-driven approach. This is what I've been advised, that the success in being able by the middle of the 21st century to attain near 100% recovery is due mainly to the approach to the implementation of the Montreal Protocol on substances that deplete the ozone layer, and the establishment also of national ozone units. I know that sometimes when I speak with my team, and I hear it here, they feel as though they are the stepchildren in the whole development process. But I want it to be known that certainly within our economic planning and the Sustainable Development Unit, they are very much integrated in the work that the country is trying to do. I am advised that there are 147 national ozone units established, and they are able to function to the extent that they receive support through multilateral fund, the Multilateral Fund Secretariat, the finance arm of the Montreal Protocol. In this regard, I want to publicly commend the Ozone Action Office for its role in assisting countries in achieving and maintaining compliance for its continued program of work dedicated to enhancing the work of the national ozone officers and units. The Ozone Action Office must also be congratulated for initiating the training program, which you have participated in, many of you, over these last 2 days that you were in our beautiful country. The training of new ozone officers, as you know, is a new aspect of the UN Environmental Action Compliance Program.